Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Jon-Bernard. This is Nick. We are the K-Roos Bros, giving you the fight news around the world. We are fresh off of covering UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi. Look, shit way to end the card. I think it was a good card in the lead up to it. Very anticlimactic ending, and it's exploded all over social media. Everyone's had their opinions made about it. Nick, how did you feel right after the fight?
Look, anticlimactic is definitely the word, because anytime a fight doesn't end in a definitive decision, it's disappointing. Now,
Definitely. Especially a very hype fight.
I'm going to just say it. It's not Tom Aspinall's fault. Not at all.
Yeah.
I think he made the right decision. Ciryl Gane, yes, it may have been an accident, but it is his fault. It was a good card. I thought there was some good fights on there. Quill and Sour Killed getting that leg kick knockout was one of the best things I think I've ever seen live in the UFC. But I do think if the ending had been different, it would have been one of the best cards of the year.
Well, let's talk about that. Immediately, the crowd starts booing Tom Aspinall. And I'm going to say, why all the hate for Tom Aspinall? Even on social media, everyone's saying, oh, Tom was ducking Ciryl Gane when he fought a little bit of pressure. I thought Tom was comfortably, feeling his range out in the first round. I feel like he landed more shots. I had Tom winning the first round.
Well, I obviously have a clear bias because I did pick Tom to win and I did want Tom to win. And in saying that, I did feel like he was winning the round. Yes, the significant strikes, he was down 30-27, and he did look like he had a bit of blood. But blood isn't the only thing, because it looked like Tom had the more damaging shots. He was pushing forward the whole first round, and he at least went for a takedown. He was the aggressor the whole round. So the people that were saying, oh, he was just looking for a way out, he wanted to quit.
Bullshit.
That is like saying Ilya Topuria, if he had a chance to quit at the end of round one against Max Holloway or against Volkanovski, he would have quit. No. It's called a game plan. He's just following his game plan. His dad had said it all week. He's going to maybe feel him out, try and take him to rounds 2 or 3. So that was going according to plan.
And listen, Tom Aspinall came out and said, he's like, why are you booing me for? I'm the one that got double eye poked. Why the fuck you booing me for?
Yeah, he said, why the fuck you booing me for?
And I completely agree with him. He's not the one that was doing the eye poking. And I feel for Tom, he's waited 14 months of training to get ready for this fight. It's kind of out of his hands. You're not going to go into a fight when you can't see and you're the heavyweight champion. I don't blame him one bit. And you got flogs like, Anthony Smith, who have never had that big of a fight in his life, let's be honest. And he's saying, you as a fighter, you're supposed to fight with one eye open. No, you're not. No, you're not. And every time Anthony Smith he crawls up in a little ball and quits. Tom didn't quit. He got illegally eye poked in the eye, couldn't go on and fight because he'd be fighting at a disadvantage. And it's not fair to Tom. I completely back what Tom did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's look at it from Tom Aspinall's perspective. Okay, he's heavyweight champion. A lot of pressure on him as the undisputed heavyweight champion right now in his first title defense. You get illegally poked in the eye. You actually can't see. Let's go under his story that he actually is blind and can't see out of his right eye.
Yeah.
Would you fight now the most dangerous guy in your division with one eye for 4 more rounds at least? No, you would not.
No,
Why would you?
Yeah, you're at a disadvantage.
You're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. Yes, you may back yourself. Maybe you can land a lucky shot. But no, you were the one that was illegally harmed.
Yeah.
Take your time. Do whatever you need to. Make sure your eye's okay, because I feel like that's been the biggest narrative coming out of this. No one knows actually how bad his eye actually is and when he can recover from it. But hopefully he's okay and they can reschedule this fight ASAP.
Yeah, when do you reschedule this fight for? When is the best time to reschedule Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane? I'm going to say you put it on December. Madison Square Garden is already set. You got JDM versus Islam headlining. That card's already pretty stacked.
And it's quite soon. So if his eye isn't 100%, at least December's far enough away where it does make sense.
We don't know the full extent of Tom's eye. He just put out a YouTube video saying he had scans in Abu Dhabi. He's going to have more scans in the UK, see if there's any serious injuries. If not, and he's all clear, these guys are in good shape. They didn't take too much damage in the first round. I think they get ready. They continue training for December. They now headline the December card, push Merab to the co-main event. Let's have it done this year so these guys can stay active and have fights next year. Tom has had 14 months off already. You've held this guy up in his prime. Don't waste more of his time. The UFC should do the right thing and try and book this fight as soon as possible.
Well, I feel like it's all dependent on Tom. If he does want to fight in December and he's able to fight in December, then the UFC should say, you know what? You were poked. We owe you a favor, but we should make this right and put the fight on ASAP. But if he does say, look, I'm not probably feeling it till February. I might need a couple more months off. I need to maybe enjoy Christmas. He can do whatever he likes. And the UFC, I feel like in their position now with this Paramount deal, they're going to be pushing for main events to be going next year. Like the December card's set, the November card's set. January looks like it's going to be Ilya Topuria's main event to be. So I feel like it's going to be maybe February or March. Who knows? It's sad to see that someone like Tom Aspinall, who's been on the shelf for so long, might have to wait even longer now, which it sucks. It just sucks.
I'm going to say hot take. This makes the rematch even hotter. People want to see this even more because now the narrative is Ciryl Gane was maybe winning round one.
He looked good. He did look good.
And now the betting odds are in favor of Ciryl Gane.
I don't know about that. I feel like that's a bit early. It's a bit early.
I'm looking at that online. So I think I'm going to be jamming Tom Aspinall if that's the case because I back his game plan. But what I'm saying is this will only fuel the fans wanting to watch this more. I think the UFC have a big fight on their hands. It's just, I think December is the way to go. But does this bring out bully Tom Aspinall?
Well, because all kind of did in the post-match press conference. I mean, in the octagon, when Daniel Cormier was asking him kind of going at the fans, what the fuck are you booing me for? That's kind of bully Tom coming out. Something that we haven't seen yet because Tom Aspinall is the nicest guy in the world.
In the lead-up, he was very humble. He was saying, I could think this would go 5 rounds. This will be a jab off. He was being jovial. He was playful. He was giving respect to Pereira.
Ciryl Gane. He said, hey, Ciryl Gane's a great fighter.
So I think this might bring out Tom who said, I don't give a fuck about anyone. I only care about my health, my well-being, and my family. And I think we're just going to get an honest Tom Aspinall. I'm just here to take this guy's head off. I'm here to win a fight. Maybe we'll hear more of a trash-talking Tom because I feel like the way he's been treated by the UFC and the fans online who are calling him a quitter. Some are saying, it's just an eye poke. He's running away from Ciryl Gane. I think that's bullshit. And you're going to see a Tom that doesn't care anymore is going to be fired up going into the next fight.
And if he's angry, that makes him so much more intimidating because he's already the heavyweight champion. That makes him the most intimidating guy in the world. Really, if he's the heavyweight champion, no one in the world can beat him in a fight. And if he's angry now, if he's even more intimidating, he wants to go out there and knock someone's head off because the fans have gone at him. People have turned on him. They've called him a quitter. People are going to be in trouble. That's like Ilya Topuria supposedly with his wife divorcing him or leaving him. How scary he is. Tom Aspinall's going to be that level of scary.
How good does Tom Aspinall have to be that even in a very close first round, just because it went one round, people are saying, oh, Tom's overrated.
Oh,
because we're so used to seeing him finish a fight in 2 minutes. But this fight could have gone 3 rounds. His game plan was utilize all his ability. The stand-up game, the wrestle. He shot for only 1 takedown. You didn't know what it was going to look like in round 2. You didn't know what his game plan was going to be. So, again, I think there has to be way more respect put on Tom's name. If he's going into it as an outsider into the rematch with Ciryl Gane, I'll be putting the house on Tom.
And that's the thing as well. I feel like we got to highlight, as much as it wasn't on purpose from Ciryl Gane,
it's dirty.
He's the reason that the fight stopped. He had his fingers out. It wasn't just a single eye.
Let's start
it was
with
a
this.
double eye poke.
Okay. How do you stop eye pokes in the UFC? Andy Aspinall, after the fact, was in the hospital with Tom and saying, Michael Bisping lost his eye. This is a scary thing as a parent. How do you stop eye pokes in the UFC? The UFC has to do something because you're seeing way too many eye pokes and there's no disqualifications. There's no immediate point deductions. Someone can eye poke and go on to win the fight. There's no repercussions in the UFC for it.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like on commentary, they were praising the refs' assertiveness early prelims and in the prelim fights.
Yeah.
And that assertiveness is, hey, if you grab the fence, if you do something illegal,
point deduction.
Hit in the back of the head, you're getting a point deduction. So I feel like this easily, going forward, as soon as someone gets poked in the eye, accident or not, it's a point deduction. It doesn't need to be a disqualification, but they need to be losing something on the scorecard.
Andy Aspinall had a point. He said, especially the guys that have a history of doing it, and Ciryl Gane does have a history of doing it.
Well, apparently Aspinall said in that video that Ciryl Gane got a warning a minute before in that same fight. You saw it,
yeah. When a little bit earlier,
Tom Aspinall presses forward. He
eye poked on the way to the on the incoming takedown. So again, what I wanted to say was that Ciryl Gane has been a serial eye poker. He also has kicked people in the balls. He's I'm not going to call him a dirty fighter, but he has dirty fighter tendencies. Shots to the back of the head.
Got to do what you got to do to win.
There's got to be repercussions in this game because it's not fair to fighters if Tom did decide to go on and fight with blurred vision and then go on to lose the fight. For what? He gets a 1.5 minute warning? That's bullshit.
I just watched a clip of Jim Miller, who's a UFC veteran. For those that don't know Jim Miller, fought at UFC 100, 200, and 300. He's been around basically for every era of the UFC. And he said, look, every single eye poke is on purpose because at no point during the fight should you have your hands up like this towards somebody's face because really, it's a fight. You should have your hands clenched, ready to punch. So
and then also on top of that,
at some point have this, you immediately need to be deducted a point. And I take Jim Miller's viewpoint here with a lot of weight.
Yeah, and it was knuckle deep. He was pushing him. So it wasn't just like a little jab, little jab eye poke. He was 2 fingers deep into Tom's eyes.
And again, look, I want to play devil's advocate here for the fans. I could understand the booing a bit in the sense of, look, They paid a lot of money for these tickets.
Yeah.
Some of them have traveled a long way, many hours to get there. But you should have been booing Ciryl Gane. I understand the boos, but at least aim them towards the
Should
perpetrator.
have been booing the Frenchman. Yeah.
Because Tom Aspinall, he did nothing wrong. And I'm sure if he could see, he would carry on. Like, it's not like I don't think anyone that's saying he was looking for a way out, you kind of are stupid. You are very stupid. I feel like at Chael, as much as it hurt me to see you say that, I was disappointed.
I think it was a very dumb take from Chael, but
Chael's got some bad takes, but that was one of the worst ones.
That was one of the worst ones. Telling the champion to just fight blind.
I still love you, Chael.
Doesn't make sense. Love you, Chael. You're the GOAT, but yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. And same goes for Anthony Smith. But let's go on to this subject. Does Dana White hate Tom Aspinall? Because in the post-match press conference, he was going at his heavyweight champion like he absolutely did not like him.
Well, let's look at the biggest comment. In the post-match press conference, Dana White literally said Tom Aspinall didn't want to continue. And the key word there is didn't. He didn't say Tom Aspinall couldn't continue.
Yeah.
He said he didn't want to continue.
And then he had glowing praise
that he's a quitter.
And then he had glowing praise for Ciryl Gane, that after the Jones fight, everyone wrote off Ciryl Gane. He looked pretty damn good tonight. So it was just like, I understand that Dana, as a promoter, might be wanting to promote the next fight, but he was saying, I don't know what we're going to do next. We want to rebook it ASAP. But to be putting shit on Tom Aspinall like that, who it was out of his control. And if the guy can't see, the guy can't see. I don't think there was any reason to be saying Tom didn't want to continue. He was bloodied up in the first. It was like he was trying to pump up Ciryl Gane. I don't know if it's because of the comments that were said earlier in the week with Andy Aspinall saying Tom wants to go to boxing and he'd love a big payday in boxing, or even saying that Tom might not even sign with the UFC after the next 3 fights. He's got 3 fights left on his deal. But that's just Andy being a manager and a dad negotiating. But to kind of insinuate that Tom just quit and didn't want to fight, I don't think it's the case. That eye poke could have been a disqualification. That's how bad it was.
And look, I'm going to be honest, I'll give Dana the benefit of the doubt.
He's been a promoter?
He's not just been a promoter. He could have easily just misspoke. He could have said he couldn't continue or he didn't continue. He just probably meant the same word. He's not really calling him a quitter. And the fact that if you do watch the YouTube that Aspinall put out, Dana White's in the locker room before wishing him all luck. I'm sure he's on good terms with Tom Aspinall and his father. So I'm sure this is just a misspoke and we're just reading into it too much because Dana White, let's be honest, if he doesn't have Tom Aspinall, he doesn't have a heavyweight division. If you saw the other heavyweight fights that were on this UFC 321 card,
disgusting.
Absolute ass. Because if you looked at Volta Walker, that was kind of entertaining. Yeah. But that, what was it, Chris Barnett fight against Abdul, whatever, I can't even pronounce his name.
Egyptian.
That was one of the worst fights ever. They were both two big fat slobs in the octagon. The commentary were making fun of him the whole time. Volta Walker made fun of them. So Dana White, if he's smart,
Volta Walker looked good.
I'd start massaging maybe Tom's ego, making sure that he's okay, check in on him, make sure his eye's okay. Ask him when he wants to fight. If you want to fight in December, let's do it. You want to fight in January? I'm happy to do it. Because if he doesn't have Tom Aspinall, I feel like there is no heavyweight division. And for him to maybe insinuate that he quitted, I'm going to give Dana the benefit of the doubt. He's a smart guy. He wouldn't really be taking a shit on that guy at this point in time.
I think Tom deserves better. The guy sat on the shelf for 14 months, puts all in the hard work, and then the main event gets taken out of his hands, and then everyone online's calling him a quitter, and Dana White's taking a shit on him in the press conference. That doesn't make sense to me. I think there's got to be a bit more respect towards Tom's way.
I saw a tweet that the reason Dana White hates Tom Aspinall is because he made his golden boy Jon Jones retire.
Could be.
Tom Aspinall's the reason Jon Jones retired, and that's why Dana White hates Tom Aspinall. Because, hey, Jon Jones was Dana White's golden boy the last 2-3 years. When he came back and beat Ciryl Gane, he started calling him the GOAT, started calling him the best fighter in the world, on and on and on. So that could be a reason. That could be a reason.
Well, let's provide an update for Tom Aspinall. He did put out a 46-minute long YouTube video pretty much showing the whole fight day and the aftermath of the fight, where he was taken straight to a hospital. And he didn't leave the hospital until 3:30 in the morning. He was there with his dad, cameraman Charlie. And like he said, they were just hopeful that the site will return, hopeful that he, all that mattered really is his health and his well-being. And Tom looked shaken up. Because it's not like, he said it's worse than the knee when he did his knee against Curtis Blades, because he knows his knee can repair. The eye, you could be a Michael Bisping and lose your eye and lose your sight. So, I don't know, pretty scary to kind of face that you could have just lost your sight completely. He was struggling. They were doing all these tests, and he said it was pretty much black. He couldn't see, very blurry, and that was all the way through the night. It wasn't just like give him 5 minutes after his fight. He said his sight just got continually worse.
And that's the thing. No one actually knows what he's going through. Yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't have a Daniel Cormier eye where his eye's basically closed or it looks like it's puffed up. If he's blind or if his vision is impaired at all, only he can see that. Only he can feel that. And you kind of got to take his word for it, because why would he quit? He's knocked out all these people in the first round. He's beaten people by submission, takedowns, whatever. So why would he quit? It just doesn't make sense to quit. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt as well. He's definitely truthful. If anyone has ever interviewed him or watched a full-length interview with him, he's one of the most stand-up guys in the UFC. Yeah. So, like, anyone shitting on him, I just don't get it. And I feel like he's going to shut people up in his next fight.
Yeah, these are the fights to make next after UFC 321. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane rematch. Obviously, for the heavyweight champion, we want to see that again. Let's make it happen in December. Now, Umar Nurmagomedov. Comfortable win against Mario Bautista. He looked very good. He says he's got a lot of room to improvement. He wants to be Khabib, and he doesn't see himself being that yet. So give him Sugar Sean O'Malley. Test his striking out. I could see him just wrestling Sugar Sean to the ground. It could go the same way that Merab Sugar Sean went. But look, let's test him out. He wants more fights. He doesn't. He said, if they don't give me the title shot, I'll take whoever the UFC give me next. Give him Sugar Sean.
Look, there's a lot of pros and cons to that matchup. The pro is it really does test his striking against someone that's a former champion, a name in the division, who, if he does beat, it does kind of put him back into that number one contender spot. The bad thing is we could just be seeing Merab versus Sugar Sean 2.0, and we don't want to see someone that Umar can bully. We want someone to really test Umar. Really, that would have been Peter Yan, but he's getting the title shot. And if it's not Sugar Sean, really, who else is there for Umar? Because Corey Sandhagen is already beaten. Figueiredo, he's ranked below him. He just beat Mario Bautista. There's not really many people that he can verse in that division where it actually ascends him into a number one contender spot. And Sugar Sean's that only guy. And for Sugar Sean, it kind of does work as well, because if he does beat someone like Umar, that definitely gives him confidence, and maybe confidence in fans and matchmakers that he can match up against Merab in a successful way. So I feel like that's a good fight to make. If they do make that, it does sell as well.
Okay, for Mario Bautista, look, I'm not going to say he got dominated. I think he
put up a good fight. Nearly dropped him.
Yeah, nearly dropped him in the second round, was it?
Yeah, got flying knee.
I feel like he's evaded the boring, the
wrestler. Like he's just going to wrestle and push up against
the boring allegations. He kind of put on a good show for the fans. I respect him after that fight, but I think give him Davinson Figueiredo next. I think Figgy returning back
higher than him in the rankings. I feel like Bautista, with that fight, earns a lot of respect and definitely deserves to verse someone at least 4, 5, 6 in the rankings.
Or a Corey Sandhagen. Either one, I'd be happy with. I'd say Bautista versus Sandhagen. Let them have a striking battle. That'd be a very entertaining bantamweight matchup.
Sandhagen makes more sense because he's coming off a loss. Mario Bautista's coming off a loss. Whoever wins that fight gains a lot from it and kind of pushes back up into that top 5 trajectory.
Now, Volkov got the win, and a lot of people were surprised online. Now, Jailton Almeida, while he dominated in the wrestling, didn't do much with his control time, and I think that's why the judges gave it to Volkov. But Dana White also owed Volkov a favor. Dana White did say to Volkov after he lost to Ciryl Gane, I owe you one. And that may have been the owe you one that he gave him. So Volkov comes away the winner. Who does he face next? It's the winner of Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall. And even in the locker rooms, Andy and Tom were watching the fight. And when Volkov got announced winner, Andy said, well, Tom's already faced him. We'd have to face him again, which is a great matchup for Tom. And Andy knew that. So they're already eyeing that matchup. I feel sorry for Volkov. He just has to probably wait now until this rematch happens.
Look, Jailton Almeida, probably when I was watching the fight live, I thought they were going to score the fight for Jailton Almeida. Dana White, MMA Guru, they said, look, he didn't get enough damage. It's like he was immune to punching Alexander Volkov. So they were happy with the Volkov decision. But if that was the favor, it certainly looks like it was, because he had a get out of jail free card in that decision. Somehow he won by a split decision, and it does make up for the split decision loss against Ciryl Gane. And you're right. Why would he fight anybody else? He's basically earned the number one contender spot now. So hold out for the title shot. Look, they're likely going to rematch soon, probably December, January. So the next fight's probably going to be in June, July. So just hold out till next June, July. Really prepare your wrestling, because you got taken down very, very easy.
And Tom Aspinall would be able to do that every day.
You got to work on some takedown defense, Volkov, to make that fight interesting.
Now, Walter Walker got his 4th win via a heel hook. Jailton Almeida losing. I say pair them two up, and that be an eventual number one contender match.
Nah, not an eventual number one contender match, but at least someone that...
Well, if Jailton had won, he would be number one contender.
Yeah, but Walter Walker's ranked number 15. He's beat... Everyone's been saying he's beat trash cans.
There is literally no one at heavyweight, that can ascend in that top contender.
Walter Walker, if he does beat Jailton Almeida, he can jump up to like top 5 or maybe he's top 6, top 10.
Walker did call out the Peppa Pig, he called
Barnett.
Peppa Pig. But the Egyptian guy had Azami. I can't pronounce his name to save my life. The very unathletic heavyweight. He called him out and said he'd love to submit him in Qatar. These guys would be ready to go. They both want it. So I think Walter Walker can take him. Jailton Almeida, look, I think he can be dominant at heavyweight. He just needs to work on his striking and his control time.
Once you take someone down, just like when you take someone down, just hit them. Just try and do something. At least show the judges, hey, I'm trying to knock him out. I'm trying to go for a submission. I'm trying to do something to end this fight. Like, he just doesn't do anything with it. I understand the frustration from fans. Like, he's so good at getting takedowns. Like, there were times when Volkov knew, hey, this guy's going to rush me, double leg me. And he still did it. Like, even when you know he's going to do it, he still does it and successfully does it. So, like, he has potential, just needs to work on a bit more. MMA Guru is saying just cut him, send him to the PFL. That is a bit harsh. The guy's talented. And he has competed. He has gotten finishes before. Just needs to maybe work on it.
But I do agree, a bit more boring than Khamzat Chimaev's ground game.
I'm a big fan of Khamzat. I don't think he's boring at all.
No, more so the non-violence on the floor.
Yeah, okay. I get that last match.
But it's supposed to be a violent sport.
Anyways.
Okay, the last one for the matchmaking. Quillan Salkild gets an unbelievable head kick KO. What matchup do you make for him next? The Aussie taking the fight on 10 days' notice? Give him money, Moicano.
Now, this fight makes 1,000% sense because Moicano kind of fallen off a bit. He's lost to Islam. Then he lost to Benil Dariush. And Quillan Salkild says, hey, I want a ranked opponent and I want it in Sydney. Now, that is someone who you kind of are rewarding, a fighter that did go on 10 days' notice and get a massive head kick KO, probably the knockout of the year. And if they do it in Sydney, there's at least a personality enough between both of them where they can line up a press conference. It is maybe a main card opener. And look, maybe it doesn't do a lot for Moicano if he does win, but at least maybe gets him a lot more press, gets him a lot more...
momentum back in the division.
Exactly, you know so it makes sense. As a fighter, it makes sense.
Tune-up fight. He says he wants to fight only people above him in the rankings, but
and Moicano basically said that Quillan Salkild's opponent was going to call out Moicano post-fight, so you were prepared to face him. Why not face Quillan Salkild?
Apparently he turned down the fight. He was supposed to face him, turned down the fight. So I think a Quillan versus Money Moicano matchup would be easy money to do in Sydney or even after Sydney if Money Moicano doesn't want to face the tax implications in Australia. I don't know. But look, there's definitely some matchups to be made. Speaking of matchups, Alex Pereira was watching Aspinall, pretty much call it quits. I'm not going to say call it quits. No. Alex Pereira was sitting at home watching the main event, Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane, saw the fight get called off a no contest, shook his head, and then pretty much put it on his Instagram and said, John Jones, let's make the heavyweight division great again and have a fight at the White House. John Jones accepts the fight, goes and takes to Twitter and says, I respect the words you've said to me. Let's make it happen. Are these guys just hating on the greatness of Tom Aspinall and the heavyweight division?
I think they're just taking the opportunity to get a bit of fame and get a bit more importance to this fight. Because look,
you cannot overlook the heavyweight champion. That's all I'm saying.
They don't need the heavyweight champion. I feel like this is just going to be a novelty fight, kind of like a BMF fight. John Jones versus Alex Pereira. And they're just using this event as a way of saying, look, this will be the real heavyweight championship fight. We're the two best heavyweight fighters right now. But in reality, they obviously aren't. But they're just taking this, using this to their advantage. It's smart. I don't blame them. And Alex Pereira, look, he's said some nice things about Tom Aspinall before. I think he's kind of said, I don't want to face him because he'll obviously lose.
Yeah.
And John Jones is the fight to make. And look, John Jones is the bigger name. There's no harm in saying that. That's the truth. And I feel like they're going to make that fight. Now, Dana White said John Jones is a 1 in a billion shot of being on the White House card. I feel like these guys kind of organising their own fight on Twitter maybe brings that into like 1 in 10. I think it's like a 1 in 10 shot now.
Especially if Alex Pereira is pushing for it. John Jones is a big draw. Paramount would eat that up 100%. But look, ultimately, I think it's crazy that Alex Pereira took that opportunity to pretty much take to Instagram, get the fans talking that this could be a White House card. John Jones puts the eye patch on his duck emoji profile picture, kind of trolling Tom a little bit. So these guys aren't scared to take shots at the heavyweight champion. So I want to see Tom Aspinall come out and be Bully Aspinall and start giving it back to these heavyweights because, listen, at this point in time, he's still the king of the heavyweight division and he deserves some respect. So I'm going to go to bat for Tom. I don't think he deserves any of this trolling online. He deserves a bit more respect in the division.
Okay, now let's go to the UFC 321 fighter pay, starting with Umar Nurmagomedov, $156,000.
I thought a big Dagestani name like Umar with Khabib in his corner, probably would have been earning a bit more in this. But respect to him, he's calling out more fights. He wants to be active.
Let's not forget, this is untaxed. So this is $156,000 untaxed.
Now we got Alexander Volkov, $316,000 for a guy that arguably lost the fight and got, the IOU one from Dana White and getting the win in this. You'd go home pretty happy with $300,000.
He did earn that money because he was the bigger draw in this heavyweight fight. Something that did bring a lot more maybe Russian eyes to the fight that weren't from Dagestan. So I think it's well earned. Let's move on next.
Mackenzie Dern.
Let's move on next to Mackenzie Dern, $682,000.
Well, let's be honest. She carried her fight, especially in the promotion. I think the face-off with her probably was the most viewed video of the week for obvious reasons. And she deserves it. She won the champion. Dana White was very happy to put the belt right around her.
Yeah, let's say, look, she definitely earned the money in this fight because she was the biggest promotion of this card. A lot of people did tune into this fight just to see the press conference, maybe see the face-off at the end after the weigh-ins, and then definitely see her fight. They paid for the assets pretty well.
Now, estimated total payout for Ciryl Gane is $1.5 million.
That's a lot of money for a co-main event in Abu Dhabi. Well earned because that's the main event. You get the pay-per-view points. You do headline. It's for a title fight. So very well earned. You're loving that money untaxed, taking that back to France after one round.
Now, according to the reports, Tom Aspinall earned $3.5 million. That was the championship payout. Now, I want to know personally, if they have to rebook this fight, do they have to get paid championship money again? Or do they take that into account and say, hey, we're just rebooking this fight. Here's another $500,000.
Well, look, the same way the fans have to lose money by going to this event and not seeing the full fight, the UFC has to pay the fighters this money and then pay it again for another fight.
Does it count as another fight on his contract?
Yes, it is. It is what it is. The no contest is an outcome that can happen in this event. So
crazy.
It's crazy, but Tom Aspinall, if he does fight again in December, he just earned $7 million in about 3 months.
That might be the best case scenario for Ciryl Gane and Tom Aspinall. I know they got the shits right now.
Silver lining is you're going to earn double.
Imagine you earn double pay of championship money. That would be pretty crazy. Well, so there's the fighter pay for UFC 321. Now, going on to a bit more lighter news outside of UFC 321, it is the 1 year anniversary of Ilia Topuria knocking out Max Holloway in a fight that we didn't see Max Holloway going down. Everyone, Ilia Topuria talked the talk, and he had knocked out previous opponents, but doing it against Max Holloway at the time was unheard of. No one had ever done it. Ilia Topuria goes out and does it, and now he is the biggest superstar, I would say the biggest draw in the UFC today.
Well, since then, he's knocked out Charles Oliveira, become pound-for-pound #1, and arguably the biggest star in the UFC. And at that time, knocking out Max Holloway, something nobody has ever done. Probably one of the biggest feats of a UFC fighter in the last 2-3 years. And it's definitely something that's escalated Ilia Topuria to someone like that's a superstar, really like the face of the UFC.
Now they're pretty much saying he's locked in to face either Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje. And all reports are saying it's going to be Paddy, most likely in January.
He's the money fight.
And he comes into that as a heavy favorite to knock out Paddy. Can Paddy step up and fight the champion? Who knows? He's never been tested like this before.
Yeah, I don't think he can, but it's what sells.
Are we looking at another Topuria knockout?
No, I definitely think it is. I think it's a matchup nightmare for Paddy because Ilia Topuria can wrestle. He's got great ground game, and he can strike, which I think Paddy will struggle with. So I think it'll be a great fight, but I do think Ilia Topuria maybe does knock the Scouse out.
Now, I want to point this out. This was a lighter one that we saw. Islam Makhachev.
Oh, no, let's just call it.
Okay, call it that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've already been gone for about nearly 35.
Yeah, but we went 20 minutes on final play.
That's fine.
All right, we'll call it there.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, you're going to have to edit this one pretty heavily. I apologise. All right. Well, that is all we have time for this week's episode. Fucking hell. Well, that is all we have time for this week's episode of Trash Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, subscribe to @KRoosBros on YouTube and @Jon-Bernard K for the clips on Instagram and TikTok. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. Back to you in the studio, Ryan.